Welcome to the Prescott Lab podcast, not just theory, practical science for everyone. I'm Dr. Jonathan Prescott, a physician and integrative medicine researcher at the Ravenshade Institute for Human Health. Tonight, I want to speak to a very specific kind of man. The man who wakes up tired not just in his body but in his spirit. The man who used to feel strong, steady, full of spark and now wonders quietly, where did it go? If that sounds familiar, don't worry, this episode isn't about what you've lost. It's about what's still waiting to be rebuilt. Because the truth is you're not broken, you're just underfed not in calories but in care. And one of the most powerful windows for that care, it's not your morning routine, it's not your workouts. It's the final hour before bed, that's when your body does its deepest repair. That's when blood vessels soften, testosterone pulses rise, and recovery begins, if and only if you feed it right. So if you're ready to restore circulation, sleep deeper, and feel like yourself again, you're in the right place. Because tonight, I'll reveal 7 science-backed bedtime foods that work silently while you sleep. Some of them might already be in your kitchen. One of them, I call it nature's Viagra in a spoon. But before we dive in, let me ask you for something small, a sign that you're with me. If you believe your best years can still be ahead, tap that like button, not just for the algorithm, but for yourself. I've seen it again and again. The moment a man chooses to care for his body, even with one small act, something changes. Call it luck, call it chemistry, but health starts moving in your favor. So go ahead, hit like, and may that single click be the start of better blood flow, deeper sleep, and a little more strength where you need it most. And if this message speaks to you, drop a quick 1 in the comments. If you're not sure yet, that's okay, type 0, so I know how to better support you in future episodes. Now ready to feel like your mornings belong to you again. Let's begin with the first food, a simple, surprising source of nitric oxide hiding right in your fridge. 2 soft-boiled eggs. 1 soft-boiled eggs, the nitric oxide igniter. Let's start with something simple. Not a supplement, not a pill, just 2 soft-boiled eggs. That's all I gave to Henry, a 67-year-old former firefighter. A man who'd spent a lifetime charging into danger and pushing through pain, but now sat quietly in my office staring at his hands. "Doc," he said, "I feel like I'm fading. I sleep but wake up exhausted. I eat well, I walk daily, but something's missing. And honestly, I haven't felt like a man in a while." I didn't hand him a prescription, I gave him something better. "Henry," I said, "tonight eat 2 soft-boiled eggs. 1 hour before bed." He blinked. "Eggs at night." I nodded, "Yes, trust me." Most people think of eggs as breakfast. But for men over 60, a soft-boiled egg at night is a biological spark. Because eggs are rich in leucine, an amino acid that helps trigger nitric oxide, the molecule that unlocks blood flow throughout the body. Without it, vessels stiffen, circulation falters, and erections fade. But with the right fuel, even something as simple as an egg, blood returns. Quietly, powerfully, and there's more. Soft-boiled eggs are packed with vitamin D for testosterone and B12 for nerve sensitivity and energy. They digest easily, keep blood sugar steady, and support deep recovery without burdening your system. 10 nights later, Henry came back. He walked taller. His voice was lighter. And with a grin, he said, "Doc, I don't know what's in those eggs, but my wife says thank you." We both laughed, but we knew this wasn't luck. It was timing, intention, biology remembering what it was built to do. Because your body doesn't need massive change, it needs one small, consistent signal. And sometimes that signal starts with 2 soft-boiled eggs before bed. Now I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever tried eating something before bed to support your health? If yes, tell me in the comments. If not, type 0. I read every response and shape future episodes based on what you share. And remember, when you crack open that egg tonight, you might just be cracking open something inside yourself too. But if you think eggs are powerful, just wait until you discover the next spoonful. Smooth, rich, and quietly life-changing. Let's talk about it next. 2. Almond Butter, the artery relaxation spoon. Not long after Henry, another man came to see me. His name was Richard. He was 74, a retired librarian. Calm, precise, with a soft voice and quiet pride. The kind of man who noticed everything except what was slowly slipping away inside him. He said, "Doc, I've done the right things. I eat clean, I meditate, I walk. But intimacy, it's slipping. And I don't want to lose that part of myself." I didn't hand him a hormone prescription or tell him to do more. I gave him a spoon. 1 tablespoon of almond butter, I said, before bed. He tilted his head, unsure. "You're telling me nut butter is going to fix my circulation?" I smiled. "Not fix, support, calm, reopen." Because inside that spoon was magnesium, a mineral that acts like a warm bath for your arteries. It helps the smooth muscles around your blood vessels relax, allowing blood to flow without resistance. Almond butter also carries arginine, a key amino acid your body converts into nitric oxide, the molecule we talked about earlier. And the healthy fats inside, they support natural testosterone production without the roller coaster side effects. But what makes almond butter quietly powerful is this: it stabilizes blood sugar overnight. That means fewer crashes, better sleep, and steadier hormone levels, all essential for men over 60 whose recovery depends on what happens while they sleep. Richard took it seriously. 1 spoon every night. Sometimes on whole grain toast. Sometimes just by itself, but always with intention. 2 weeks later, he was back, no fanfare, just a lighter step and a quiet smile. "Doc," he said, "I feel more in rhythm." And let's just say someone else noticed too. That's the part most people miss. This isn't about performance. It's about connection to your body, your energy, your sense of self. And when circulation improves, confidence quietly returns. So tonight, if you're standing in front of the pantry wondering what might help, start with a spoon. Not out of desperation, but out of dignity. Because sometimes, one small act of care is all it takes to start the current flowing again. Now, what if I told you the next food is sweet, tart, and might already be sitting in the back of your fridge? And that inside that red liquid is one of the most overlooked tools for restoring sleep and blood flow at the same time. Let's talk about it next. 3. Tart cherry juice, the sleep and circulation superfood. There's something about tart cherry juice that takes me back. When I was a boy, my grandmother kept a few bottles tucked away in the fridge, dark red, almost medicinal. Back then, it was just a treat. Today, I see it differently. I see it as one of the most overlooked nighttime tools for male recovery. Malcolm was 69, a retired piano tuner. Calm, precise, and deeply in love with his wife of 40 years. "Doc," he told me, "I still want her, I still want us. But when the moment comes, it's like my body forgets how to respond." He wasn't lacking desire. He was lacking physiological support. That's where tart cherry juice quietly steps in. It's one of the richest natural sources of melatonin, the hormone that governs deep, restorative sleep. It also contains anthocyanins, powerful antioxidants that reduce inflammation and enhance nitric oxide production. The same molecule that opens blood vessels and restores flow to the places you need it most. Now I want to pause here because I noticed 2 thoughtful comments recently. Ronald, 63, asked, "Doc, I've been using regular cherry juice. Is that okay?" And George, 71, said, "Isn't juice too sugary before bed?" Both are fair questions, and here's what I told them. Not all cherry juice is the same. You need unsweetened tart cherry juice, the kind that makes you pucker a little. That's where the melatonin lives. And when you keep it to about 4–6 ounces, it won't spike blood sugar. In fact, it often helps stabilize it overnight. That's exactly what I recommended to Malcolm. Half a glass every night. Nothing drastic, just a quiet act of care. 2 weeks later, he came back with light in his eyes. "Doc," he said, "I wake up with presence, and let's just say mornings feel more alive again." Well, that's the beauty of sleep aligned with circulation. When both return, confidence follows. So if you've been tossing, turning, or waking up feeling like a shadow of yourself, consider this your signal. Let your body rest. Let it rebuild. And speaking of rebuilding, the next habit is small, crunchy, and surprisingly powerful. Don't overlook it. For pumpkin seeds, the prostate protector, years ago I used to throw them away. Every fall, we'd carve pumpkins with the kids, scoop out the seeds, and dump them straight into the trash. Back then, I didn't know better. But now, I know those tiny seeds might be one of the most powerful allies a man over 60 can have. I remember a patient named Clarence. He was 66, a retired civil engineer. Quiet, deliberate, and always brought a little notebook to our appointments. He didn't talk about intimacy. He didn't mention hormones. He just said, "Doc, I'm exhausted. I wake up 2, sometimes 3 times a night to pee. I feel like I haven't slept in months." I reviewed his chart: mildly enlarged prostate, creeping blood pressure, sluggish circulation. Nothing unusual. But I asked him one simple question. Are you giving your body the minerals it needs to rest and repair at night? He shook his head. I take a multivitamin, that's enough, right? Not quite, because pumpkin seeds are no ordinary snack. They're rich in magnesium, which calms the blood vessels and lowers nighttime blood pressure. They're packed with zinc, a mineral that helps shrink the prostate and support testosterone. And they contain tryptophan, an amino acid that boosts melatonin and serotonin, deepening sleep and quieting the nervous system. But the real key: pumpkin seeds contain phytosterols, plant compounds that directly target prostate tissue, reducing inflammation and improving urinary flow. Less pressure, fewer trips to the bathroom, more uninterrupted sleep, and that changes everything. I told Clarence to start with 1 to 2 tablespoons of raw, unsalted seeds before bed. Some nights he added them to yogurt. Others he ate them plain, nothing fancy, just quiet, steady care. By his next visit, something had shifted. I'm sleeping longer, he said, deeper, and I feel sharper in the mornings. My wife said I've stopped sighing at the coffee pot. We both smiled, not because of some miracle, but because his body was finally getting what it needed, consistently, at the right time. And that's the real lesson here: you don't need radical change, you need precision. And sometimes that precision comes in the form of a few seeds, once thrown away, now quietly rebuilding your strength from the inside out. And if you think that's simple, wait until you see what happens when 2 types of protein work together while you sleep. Let's go there next. 5. Greek yogurt dual protein for nighttime repair. Some foods don't make a grand entrance. They don't glow or shout. They just wait quiet in the fridge until the moment you realize what they've been capable of all along. That was the case with Peter, 70, a retired football coach, broad shoulders, steady handshake, but lately a slower step. "Doc," he said, "I'm not complaining, life's good, but I feel like I'm coasting, sleep's broken. Mornings are heavy, and I don't bounce back like I used to from anything." I asked him one question: "What do you eat before bed?" He looked puzzled. "Nothing, I thought that was bad." That right there is a dangerous myth, especially for men over 60. Because when timed right, a small bedtime meal can transform how your body repairs itself. I told Peter about Greek yogurt. 1 bowl. 1 hour before sleep. It delivers 2 kinds of protein: whey, fast absorbing to kickstart recovery; casein, slow digesting to feed the body steadily for up to 8 hours. That steady stream is critical. After 60, your muscles break down faster. Without overnight fuel, they don't come back. But the benefits go further. Calcium supports blood vessel relaxation and healthy blood pressure. B vitamins support testosterone, nerve function, and next-day clarity. Peter got it. Every night he made a bowl: yogurt, chia seeds, a few banana slices, dash of cinnamon. It wasn't just food, it was commitment. 3 weeks later he returned. "Doc, I wake up ready, I'm clearer, I lead my day again." Now let me ask you, when was the last time you woke up feeling truly restored? If you can't remember, maybe tonight's the night to change that. And hey, if you've been watching these episodes and haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? A yogurt jingle? Kidding. But seriously, one click now and your future self might just thank you, especially if you're the kind of man who believes in giving his body what it deserves. Now, next up, a food even humbler than yogurt, but quietly powerful. Don't underestimate what it can rebuild while you rest. 6. Cottage cheese, the silent muscle builder. Some foods don't try to impress you. They're not flashy. They're not trending. They just show up plain familiar and quietly do their job better than anything else on the shelf. That's cottage cheese. Frank, 72, came to me not for a miracle, but for something simple. Doc, he said, I feel like my body's clocked out without telling me. My balance is off. My hands are weaker. And at night, it's like I'm not even in my own skin anymore. Frank was a retired mechanic, worked with his hands all his life. Built things, fixed things, now he just wanted to feel solid again. I told him, your body still wants to rebuild, but it needs the material to do it. And cottage cheese, humble as it looks, is one of the best late-night tools I know. It's packed with casein protein, which digests slowly and feeds your muscles through the night. That matters, because after 60, muscle breakdown speeds up and most men go to bed underfed. It also contains leucine, the amino acid that flips the switch on muscle growth and supports nitric oxide production. Better blood flow, even to the places that have been too quiet for too long. And don't overlook the calcium. It calms blood vessels, steadies your heartbeat, and supports smoother recovery. I told Frank, just half a cup. 30 to 60 minutes before bed. No drama, no big effort. Some nights he added cinnamon, others a few berries, but every night he showed up for himself. 3 weeks later, he walked into my office, sat down, and smiled. I sleep through the night now, he said. My hands feel steadier. And my wife, well, let's just say she's been giving me that look again. Now let me ask you, do you feel like your body is still working with you or against you? You don't have to answer out loud, but if you felt what Frank felt, maybe it's time for a quiet shift. Leave me a comment, even just one word, clocked out or still fighting. I read every single one. And you never know, your comment might help another man feel a little less alone tonight. What we're building here isn't just a routine. It's a way back to strength, to self, to something you thought you'd lost. And if this small bowl of cottage cheese can do that, wait until you see what happens when we blend everything, protein, circulation, recovery, into one powerful bedtime ritual. It's coming next. Stay with me. 7. The Rebuilding Shake, my personal prescription. Some of the most powerful moments in my practice don't happen during exams. They happen in quiet when a man leans in, lowers his voice, and says something he's been carrying too long. That's what happened with George, 75, fresh out of surgery, thinner, tired, hollowed. Doc, he said, I don't feel like me anymore. I didn't give him a checklist, I gave him a shake. It starts with unsweetened whey protein, fast absorbing, rich in amino acids to jumpstart overnight repair. Then comes collagen peptides, the structural support your body quietly craves after 60. And finally, leucine, the amino acid that flips the switch, build again. Blend with unsweetened almond milk, a pinch of cinnamon to balance blood sugar, and a dash of sea salt to support hydration. George committed, nightly, no questions. 3 weeks later, he stood taller. Doc, he said, I'm not just better, I'm rebuilding. And he's not alone. Let me answer a few questions I've seen from you all. Can I use plant-based protein? Well, yes, if it's complete and gives you at least 2-3 grams of leucine. Is collagen really necessary? For men over 60, absolutely. It supports joints, vessels, and pelvic tissue far beyond just skin. How much should I drink? 8 to 10 ounces. About 45 minutes before bed. Think signal, not snack. Can I skip the shake and just eat yogurt or eggs? Well, you can. But this shake is for those rebuilding from illness, surgery, or years of depletion. Is a little honey okay? A teaspoon won't hurt, especially if it helps you stick with it. This isn't a miracle. It's just precision nutrition, timed right, absorbed fully, and used where you need it most. If you've ever thought, I just want to feel like myself again, this is how that starts. And if you've tried something like this or plan to share your experience in the comments, what worked, what didn't, what surprised you, your story might help the next man step up for himself. Now we've talked about what to eat. But why do so many men still fail, even when they're doing everything right? Let's get honest about that next. 8. Why most men fail, the missing nighttime strategy. I've met hundreds of men who are doing everything right. They eat clean, walk daily, cut back on sugar, caffeine, and late-night screens. And still they come to me with the same quiet frustration. Doc, I still feel tired, still flat, what am I missing? That's what Thomas asked. He was 68, a retired construction foreman. Strong frame, steady voice, but something in his eyes had dimmed. I'm not asking for a miracle, he said. I just want to feel like me again. So I asked him, what do your nights look like? Well, he shrugged, sometimes I skip dinner. Sometimes just a sandwich. TV helps me fall asleep, that's about it. And that right there was the blind spot. Because your body doesn't repair when it's convenient, it repairs when it's allowed to. Between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. Your biology enters a unique window. Growth hormone surges, testosterone resets, blood vessels soften, blood sugar stabilizes, but none of that happens efficiently when the tank is empty. And that's where most men unknowingly go wrong. They go to bed without protein, leaving muscles to break down in silence. They eat salty snacks or sugary desserts, spiking insulin, suppressing testosterone. They miss key nutrients, magnesium, zinc, leucine, healthy fats, the exact raw materials their body needs to rebuild. And far too many turn in mildly dehydrated, which quietly strains the heart, disrupts sleep, and starves circulation. Then they wake up groggy, heavy, disconnected. Not because they're aging, but because they're starving the very systems that keep them sharp, strong, and steady. That was Thomas. But when he understood, he made one small shift. No more sandwiches at midnight. Just a bowl of cottage cheese, a few seeds, a pinch of cinnamon, nothing complicated, just deliberate fuel. Given at the right time, 2 weeks later he came back to me looking lighter, grounded. Doc, he said, I sleep through the night now, I move easier. And mornings don't feel like punishment anymore. That's the power of timing, of strategy over struggle, of giving your biology the respect it's quietly been waiting for. So if you've been trying and still feel stuck, don't give up. Because when the approach is right, results come faster than most men expect. 9. What to expect in 7, 14, and 30 nights. When a man begins doing the right things at the right time, his body responds. And often it happens sooner than he expects. I remember James, he was 71. A retired mail carrier. Walked 5 miles a day for 30 years, but lately even walking to the kitchen felt like work. Doc, he said, I'm exhausted in the mornings. I don't feel present with my wife, and honestly, I don't feel like myself. I started him on the same routine I've shared with you. Nothing dramatic, just a bowl of Greek yogurt with chia seeds, a spoonful of almond butter, a few pumpkin seeds, and a small glass of tart cherry juice taken with intention about an hour before bed. By night 7, he noticed something subtle. I'm not tossing and turning, I sleep deeper. And I wake up without that heavy fog. By night 14, things were changing. My mornings feel clearer, my mood steadier. And let's just say I'm waking up with something I haven't felt in a while. Well, that small detail, morning firmness, might sound unremarkable. But to a man who's been running on empty, it's one of the first signs that blood flow is returning and hormone rhythms are repairing. By night 30, James looked like himself again, his posture lifted. His voice had more life. He said, Doc, I don't feel like I'm chasing myself anymore. I feel like I've caught up. And that's what I want you to know. This isn't about magic. It's about biology finally getting the signal it's been waiting for. So what can you expect if you begin tonight? By week 1, deeper sleep, fewer interruptions, less mental fog. By week 2, more energy, better morning clarity, steadier confidence. By day 30, sharper mood, stronger recovery, subtle signs of restored vitality, the kind that no lab test can measure. You won't feel brand new overnight, but you'll begin to feel more like you. And when that shift starts, even in the smallest ways, you'll know you're not stuck, you're rebuilding. 10. Final message: you're not broken, you're rebuildable. If you've listened this far, then something inside you already knows the truth. You're not broken, you're not too late, you are rebuildable. I don't care how long it's been since you felt sharp, strong, or alive in your body. Because I've sat across from men in their 60s, 70s, even 80s. Men who thought their best days were behind them until they took one small step forward. It didn't begin with a pill. It began with a spoon. One spoon of almond butter to relax the arteries, a soft-boiled egg to spark nitric oxide, a glass of Tart cherry juice to invite real sleep, pumpkin seeds to calm the prostate, Greek yogurt and cottage cheese to rebuild muscle and regulate testosterone, a shake that says, "I'm not giving up." These aren't just foods, they are signals. Signals to your biology that you are still here, still willing to care for this body, even after the noise has faded. And let me be clear, this isn't about chasing youth. It's about restoring you, the man you still are, beneath the fatigue, the stiffness, the silence. So tonight, when you stand in front of the fridge and that voice in your head says, "Does this even matter?" I want you to remember something. Healing doesn't begin with a finish line. It begins with a choice. A spoon, a bowl, a breath, something small offered with consistency and respect. If this message resonated with you, if something inside you stirred, then take a moment and tap like. Not just for the channel, but as a quiet commitment to yourself. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe. Because I'm here every week, bringing you science-backed tools, heartfelt guidance, and the steady reminder that you are never too far gone. And please leave me a comment below. Let me know what you're working on. Or simply type "still rebuilding." I read every message. I respond when I can, because this podcast isn't a monologue, it's a room. And you belong here. So tonight I leave you with this: you are not too old, you are not done. You are in the middle of a quiet comeback. And I'll be right here walking beside you, spoon by spoon, night by night. May strength return to your steps, clarity to your mornings, and pride to your presence. Good night, and keep rebuilding.